peacekeepers, both former and current, and your respective families, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Isabul Naka, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Ni Hao. My Maureen, a very good morning to you all. Today marks the end of our week-long commemoration of the 40th anniversary of peacekeeping. Various events have been held across the nation, culminating in the march through Suva this morning. Thousands of people, from school children to the elderly, have joined in these activities, and I sense that a new appreciation is developing for the place of peacekeeping in Fiji's history. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I ask that this morning that we reflect on the two closely related themes that have connected these commemorative events. This week we have joined together to celebrate both the contribution of peacekeepers to international peace and security and the contribution of peacekeeping to nation building. As a nation, we have identified the importance of the legacy of peacekeeping because it reflects the values that bind us. These values are important as they provide a mirror that reflects how we are viewed by other nations and how we as a nation view ourselves. The legacy of peacekeeping reflects how Fiji is viewed by the international community because for many countries, our peacekeepers have been our most valuable emissaries. The exemplary service for 40 years provides the best example of the commitment of Fiji to supporting the cause of international peace and security. The loss of Fijian lives in the name of peacekeeping also highlights to the world Fiji's commitment. One such sacrifice was Niko Komayasa Ralangi, who lost his life last year while serving at the United Nations Disengaged Observer Force, UNDOF, in Syria. Now, earlier this month, Warrant Officer Ralangi was posthumously awarded the Dag Hammarskjöld Medal at the ceremony at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Fiji's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Dr. Satyendra Prasad, accepted the medal on behalf of the family and the nation. And Warrant Officer Ralangi is survived by his wife, Salineta, and 5 children. The ongoing sacrifice highlighted by his untimely death therefore provides a potent symbol of how Fiji stands for values of justice and toleration enshrined in the United Nations Charter. This week's commemorations have turned into celebrations of service to the Fijian community. We have heard from veterans and their families about the pride with which they have for their contribution to peace and nation building, and this has been connected to traditional values of duty, respect, obligation, and sacrifice. The peacekeepers and their families see their service as a natural extension of communal life, and as such, they have taken some of the strongest values that bind us as a nation onto the international stage. My heart has been warmed in seeing the way communities from Lautoka to Lambasa to Suva have rallied around our peacekeeping veterans and the peacekeepers of today. There has been great energy and pride in the elevation of Fiji's proud peacekeeping history. There's also been solemn reflection on the 56 sons of Fiji who never returned from this selfless duty in the name of peace. I ask that we continue to pray for their next of kin and their families. Many elderly people commented on the debt that they owed these peacekeepers. Another reflection that was often mentioned was that they did not know how important peacekeeping was for Fiji. Many people did not know of the peacekeepers living amongst them in the villages and even in their extended families. Many of these quiet achievers had simply melted back into their day-to-day lives once their service to the nation and international community was complete. So over the last week, we were warmed by the many stories shared about fathers, grandfathers, brothers, and sons, servers in far-flung places in the Middle East, Europe, Africa, Asia, and here in the Pacific. As these stories were shared, we were humbled and inspired to see the education of the next generation about this very important chapter in Fiji's history. We heard stories about duty and sacrifice that reflected on the peacekeepers deployed overseas and their families who were left behind at home to pick up the pieces when loved ones were suddenly gone. There were stories of newlyweds being separated by deployments when they were just starting their journey together. There were stories of fathers serving overseas when their children were born, or fathers leaving large families in the care of their wives and extended families while they were deployed. And there were stories of a camaraderie developed amongst peacekeepers that exist to this day. There is a spark when veterans share their experiences, and Fiji's Returned Soldiers and Ex-Servicemen Association are working to provide opportunities for discussions of the past and the future. And finally, there was much reflection on the personnel, family and community benefits derived from peacekeeping. Many peacekeepers have used their overseas allowances to deliver benefits for themselves and ultimately for the nation. These military remittances are commonly used to educate family members, to build houses or to buy tractors, livestock or land, and have had a material impact on nation building. Another measure of positive impact of peacekeeping and the fulfillment felt by our brave peacekeepers has been the number of soldiers who have served overseas multiple times on multiple UN missions and who told stories from their service across very different parts of the world. And what all these stories reflected was the common humanity of ordinary Fijians. The peacekeeping community is an extended family, built through shared experiences. Lives were put on hold. The most significant life events were missed or deferred. And all these occurred to the backdrop of soldiers being deployed on uncertain and dangerous service overseas. And soldiers were called on to do their duty in the most harrowing circumstances, when peacekeepers and civilians alike were being targeted by hostile forces. Now, they should be justifiably proud of their service and sacrifice. And so should we as a nation, as they serve in our name, lest we forget peacekeepers of our nation. While many peacekeepers went back to the village and the farm, many others have continued their service to our nation throughout their lives. His Excellency, the former President, the Honorable Prime Minister, and I, among many others, are such examples. And the celebrations over this past week resonate with the experiences we have lived as peacekeepers and as servants of our beloved nation, Fiji. I've had the honor of representing the nation at the highest levels of the UN peacekeeping when I was the Force Commander of UNIFIL. I commanded a multinational force of several thousand troops from over a dozen countries throughout the world. And that was an unprecedented honor for a Fijian officer, and one that highlights a number of themes that I have been discussing today. Fijian soldiers make excellent peacekeepers. Fijian officers have the training and temperament to resolve complex challenges posed by peacekeeping. Fijian peacekeepers keep the peace, and we are willing to defend that peace. I'm now honored to serve as the President of Fiji, and I continue to serve at the appointment of the government. Within government, our leaders of today have crafted a peacekeeping strategy for Fiji that ensures the readiness of our troops anywhere they may be in the world. Now, the leaders of today have continued the legacy of our first Prime Minister, Ratu Seka Mr. Semara, and others of which we have heard much of this week. The role of peacekeeping as a nation-building strategy is still clear. We are a nation blessed with many who have skills and capabilities which have a direct impact on humanitarian assistance and disaster response when cyclones or other natural disasters hit us. However, Fiji's peacekeepers also continue to be our nation's emissaries and military diplomats in both peacekeeping and also in relation to our key development partners. And so, in looking back on this week's commemoration, it is clear that we have done the legacy of peacekeepers proud. We have increased the community's knowledge of the significance of Fiji for UN peacekeeping and the significance of peacekeeping for Fiji. Significantly, we have elevated awareness of the service and sacrifice of our peacekeepers. For this, I would like to thank the thousands of ordinary Fijians who participated in these events. On behalf of the nation, I would like to acknowledge the tireless work of hundreds of government workers in several ministries, without whom these important events could not have been an exceptional success. From the RFMF bandsmen to the traffic policemen and the local councils that hosted events, this has truly been a whole-of-government event. As such, the organization of the event also does us proud as a nation because remembering the selfless acts of peacekeepers is such a worthy cause. But this is only the beginning. We must ensure that the legacy becomes a key aspect of how we understand nation building in Fiji since independence. We must ensure that peacekeepers of today maintain the proud heritage that they represent when they are deployed in the name of the nation. We must encourage the peacekeepers of tomorrow to step forward, to do their duty, and extend Fiji's very proud legacy. We must work together, and this highlights our greatest strength as a nation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for coming out to help commemorate the 40th anniversary of Fiji's contribution to world peace. We can make the most of our experiences over the past 40 years to build on a peaceful and prosperous foundation for our children and our future generations. May God Almighty continue to bless our beloved nation, Fiji. Nasa valeu, danawad, sukriya, sheshe. For your action, thank you all.